Hello, hello. So it was felt inspired to talk about the topic of, we've heard the term go with the flow, but I kind of see it as God training us to not just let go of things or detach, but to me, it's kind of God gives and God takes away. I know that's like a more of a Christian perspective, even though I'm not Christian. But the way I've seen things progress, that's kind of how it appears to me. And the reason why it appears that way to me is because I feel like it's intentionally, I'm intentionally being trained to listen and to listen to that process, listen to that voice, and listen to and observe and not resist it. Because a lot of times we're like, no, I want this, but I want this, but it feels like it's being taken away from us. And so that forms like a resistance. So I feel like that's the training, the ultimate trust in the divine's wisdom that what is happening is for your highest good. And what you think is good for you might not be. So God knows better. And to just trust in that kind of unseen power, and things turn out for the better, even though it feels like pain and there's resistance, and it's like, no, because you don't know what's really going to happen. So I've had so many life situations where I was shown trust in the divine, trying to trust in the process, not in your ability to problem solve. If any of you know neuroanatomy, that ego part, the problem solving part, is really tiny area of the brain on the left side, right next to language, right next to math. It's really tiny. So it's like when we're problem solving, they're relying on a really tiny area of the brain instead of the whole. So I'll give a few examples and a few that's been kind of coming up recently. The biggest teacher for me was a few years ago, where I problem solved, I calculated sort of what would be the right things for me. So taking on, I had a full-time job that I was waiting to start. It was contract. And I had a part-time job. And my goal was to study abroad, to go back to school and to do it abroad. Like, it was always my dream, and I was always moving towards it. So I kind of problem solved on how to do that. And I thought having this full-time job and then having a side job after it will give me enough finances to take care of my needs, to take care of my expenses, and save up for that schooling. Well, both opportunities fell apart in the same week. I was freaking out. I was living on savings at that point. I had quite a few expenses, rent, I had an expensive car, I have a dog. And besides all of that fear, it was my dream of studying abroad just kind of shattered in front of me. And in the area that I lived at the time, I started looking, but it was like, it was too late to look because I work in education. And by that point, like literally the full-time job, it was for a school. And they literally waited like last minute, like the last week before school starts. I mean, it's a horrible district. They just use people like that. And yeah, it's like, why I didn't really actually want to go back there because they were just not a good, they're not good to their employees. but I thought I need to suck it up another year because my goal is to study abroad. So I was freaking out. There were no openings. And then I remembered earlier in the summer, first week of summer or something, I got an email that this clinic had like some extra clients if I wanted to take on, like just they found me on Indeed and asked me like if I wanted to take on a few extra clients. And I thought like I'm already set. So I don't actually need this right now. So I didn't respond. So when I everything fell apart, I found that email. I emailed that place to see if they still have a few, because a few is better than none. And they said yes, and I started. It took about a month or so to actually get started because in my field we have to like go through all the documents and your background check is being done. Your fingerprints and with FBI and all of that, we check your background. So that takes about 3 weeks. So I was just like sitting, waiting to start. And I just remember like, I don't want this job in reality. Like I really was like, I kept praying and sitting with it. And I was like, I so don't want to get this job. Like I didn't feel like it was the right job, but it's like, I gotta have something. Well, it turned out it was the best option. It was a much better option. It wasn't like 100% my passion. I was still struggling there because overall I struggled being in my profession. I was able to save up just working in that one place for about 1.5 years. I worked. I was able to save up enough for my studying abroad and live comfortably and make my own hours. And even like after the first full school year, I was able to go down to 4 days instead of 5, just make the other days a little bit longer. So I was able to like have that flexibility. So that was awesome. So yeah, here's like God is taken away, like let go, like no, but God knows better. So it was my biggest lesson of just trust in this unseen kind of like what am I gonna do? What's gonna happen? Well, another incident was same job, but I got fired from that job. I'm not gonna go into why I got fired, but the point is so I was gonna leave that job anyway because I made my plans already. I started the full move to study abroad. I found the program in Israel, was there for a year. So that whole transition of I sold all my things, and in just the whole transition took a lot of planning. So I wasn't sure like the last few months what would be the best decision to do in those last few months. And so basically I got a boot up my ass. So it's like, go. So of course getting fired is unpleasant, but I actually needed that. Like it came at a time where I needed to make a decision anyway. I was like, literally, if I wasn't fired, I would have quit like within a month or so because the best decision was to do that anyway. It's just, I was indecisive and I didn't know what time would be best to give my notice. So God made the decision for me. It's kind of almost like God guided me to say, okay, so I made a post on Facebook about a situation at work, but I didn't breach HIPAA. I didn't break any laws. And I didn't realize that in the clinic, there were mothers who had nothing else to do. They have a bunch of kids, but have nothing else to do than to take everybody who works at the clinic and start looking them up on social medias. And this was not even like my client. I had no idea people actually do this kind of thing. I mean, it's like, get a life. So it was like literally, I made this post and a mother saw it, and she complained, and she kind of spread this on another group so that other mothers would see it, because it was we were working in a community. And so it started affecting the reputation of the clinic. So they had to let me go because it was jeopardizing, which I completely understand. But it's like, this whole breach of privacy is ridiculous on social media. And I didn't break any laws. I didn't breach HIPAA. I was just venting because I was like annoyed about a situation at work. So I was like BSing with a few Facebook friends. So anyway, but it's like God almost like guided me to do this so that there will be a consequence, and then I would be making the transition in a timely manner that worked out in the best way it could have. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like sometimes even when we think we made a mistake, it's like it was for our benefit. My lesson wasn't don't put stuff on Facebook anymore. I still do. But I guess maybe I don't put stuff that's work related anymore. But I have nothing really to say. It was just that one time. But it's like when we feel like we made a mistake, the society comes at you with all these consequences. Like a lot of time, like right now, people are being censored and fired from their jobs for saying all life matters. Just putting that on Facebook or Twitter gets you fired these days. But then at the same time, a lot of times I think these people find even a better job. Because you don't really hear stories of a person being fired for censorship, for something like that, and they, went into destitution. I think the goal of censorship is to lead people to that. But it's not happening. It's not winning. Like with, what's his name? Mark Taylor? No. What's that guy who's part of the audits? Who has like, whatever, the mattress guy, the pillow guy. Yeah, he's like massively censored, but now it's like the whole world knows him, and he's met with Trump many times, and he's literally part of this whole movement now, and he's interviewed everywhere. And he said even with COVID and all this censorship, his factory is fully functioning, fully running. Nobody's been fired, like nobody's been let go at his factory. He has so much support now that like if I wasn't living with my parents, I would, I'm like thinking when I move into my dream home that I'm planning for, I'm just gonna go to his website, use the codes, and just buy everything, like the mattress, everything I need for my new home. So it's like this censorship, it doesn't really work. So it's like sometimes when we get hit hard, it comes out to our benefit. So another situation is what's been transpiring this summer, where my triggers, my shadow work, something that's been really one of my biggest issues, have been massively triggered. One like boom, 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 like all in the month of June. The month of June was the crazy energy time. So this month and a half, like literally has been like almost hell, because so much has been like brought up by those triggers. And it's affecting my work or how I perceive it. But so I contract with 2 companies, and these triggers happen with only one of them. But in the other company, there's like openings for newer opportunities where they just send an email, hey, we're looking to update our blogs. Anybody interested in writing some articles? And that's something that I've been wanting to do for a while. So I was like, yeah, let me take a stab at it. And I wrote or like updated, edited an article that they accepted, and they asked me if I want to do some more. Like, yeah. And then yesterday evening, they just sent an email. They're looking for more of like an administrative role, like that's on our, so it has flexibility. I can still do therapy. I can still take on clients and have time to do the administrative part. And I was like, been thinking recently, like it would be nice, if this because it's a newer company, so they're kind of growing. It would be nice if they had like an administrative role. It would be nice for me to do a little bit less therapy. Like I just would like to have a break and do something else that's like not therapy based. And they just email me if somebody's interested. And so we'll be scheduling a call soon. Let's see how it goes. So it's like on one side, I can feel like the energy is like kind of uncomfortable right now. So I'm like, will I be leaving? I've been contract with this company like 3 years, and I've had a really good relationship with them, and not sure how things are going to flow, because like I can feel the energy here is a bit like tight, comfortable. And here on the other side, it's like there's opening up. And I've been contracting with them for about a year. And interestingly enough, this company here, when I first started contracting, I didn't like them. Because they had like, the way they were doing things seemed like really just, it felt weird. I felt like it was unprofessional or something, but they're a new company, so they were still figuring out all the technical kinks and stuff. And my higher self was just like, be patient, give it time, it's just the beginning. And yeah, so it's kind of interesting. And then also another situation, and that's where like God gives and God takes away. And it's just, you adjust to this flow without like, oh no. I was contracting with another, so it was like another place, and I thought, oh, this is such a great experience. I'm so lucky to have this contract. It was really interesting. And all of a sudden I noticed like I haven't heard from this person. And when I reached out, the energy seems a bit cold. Like basically door shutting. And like nothing has been said or anything. It's just like, nope. So for me, it's like feeling of God gave me this opportunity like a year ago. And it was really nice. He gave me a lot of great experience. But now it's done. And it's just like, accept it. Let it go. Transition. It is what it is. And the same thing has happened with people all the time. It's like the person would show up in my life temporarily, be friends, and then it just disappear. And my ego all the time, because it was so sensitive to this, like, oh, people don't like me. There's something wrong with me. I'm not good at making friends. I'm not good at keeping friends. There's something about me that is just not worthy of love, or not good at socializing and all these things. So there's so many self-help books on it. I read so much, and it's like, it didn't help shit. And now I'm looking at it from a perspective like God brought this person into my life for a reason. Here's your lesson, and it was removed for another lesson. And it's like I swear, since childhood, I'm 36 now, it's been nonstop. And it wasn't always because we got into a fight. Sometimes it was a fight. Like last month, my last friend just went off on me, like sent me like an angry text because I didn't respond to her within a day. It was like she messaged me in the morning and in the evening she's yelling at me because I didn't respond. And it's like, I was working from 9 to 8 that day. I'm like, sorry, I didn't respond. And she didn't like even respond. So it's like, again, it's like God took this person away because honestly, it's done. Like there's nothing for me and her to talk about. I can't talk to her about what's been going on. I can't talk to her about my ascension. We're in such different levels now that it wasn't even possible to have like a conversation to go our separate ways. And I think it turned out into like a yelling thing is because I'm sensitive to it. Because I've had fights with friends that I was like, why are we fighting? Or like I was like trying to discuss something with a friend about an issue I was having, like within our relationship, and it turned into a fight repeatedly. Where I wasn't like trying to fight with them, I was just trying to talk to them. So because it's a sensitive thing for me, I think that's why it had to be like it wasn't a fight because I wasn't fighting with her. It was had to be of her yelling at me, so that I can keep letting go of this not wanting things to turn out. So I wouldn't judge things, I think. So I wouldn't be so sensitive to things turning out like that. So it's kind of, it doesn't matter how things kind of roll out. It's like, again, God gives and God takes away. And that's just the flow. However it is, it's just the more we accept this flow, the easier it becomes. And then there's less resistance or no resistance at all, right? And then it's just things kind of just manifest for our benefit. Because in reality, this is like with the friend, this is not a friend that I could have anymore. I mean, even when we were friends, I felt we connected like just a little bit. And at the time, I was convincing myself that it was enough because it was so hard for me to make friends, that she's a nice girl, she's not dysfunctional in any way. There was no drama like that would lead me in a bad situation. That I've had friends like that before. So I felt like this is good enough. And God has basically took her away. He's like, no, you're not going to be anywhere that's good enough. You're not going to stay there. You're going to keep moving in a direction to satisfy and develop yourself and keep growing. And you're going to let go of the things that were just good enough to settle for. Because you definitely deserve a heck of a lot more than that, right? Yeah, so I said a lot here, but it's like a lot has been this message, this lesson has been coming up a lot this summer. Even though it's like a really painful, it's usually like a really painful lesson. I think because there's a lot of resistance and judgment, like I screwed up. I did something wrong. I think it's just so much easier if we look in a perspective, God gives, God takes away. Things happen for a reason. Even like I have a discussion like with one of my clients, he keeps bringing it up. He had a stroke. And he's like, I never thought about not having this ability to talk. All of a sudden it's taken away. And it's like, you realize how much you take it for granted. And now it's hard for him to talk. It's coming back, but it's not how he used to be. And he's, is a big guy who's, it's kind of becomes a bit humbling. But things do happen for a reason. Not all the time. I think because we've been like under this cloud of corruption for so long, it hasn't been always a lesson. It's been just a mess. But I think right now, the whole point of the ascension is to learn our lessons. And I think the point of ascension is to learn all our lessons and fast. That's why things are so overwhelming right now. That's why they're like super painful right now, is because we're taking all of our soul lessons and we're working through them fast. And like, there's no later, like there is no putting things off to later. It needs to be done now. And you move on to the next thing, and you just keep moving on. It's like next lesson, next lesson, next lesson, next lesson. It's traumatic when they come, but I think it's like once you work through them, it starts making sense. That was like really bitter for weeks. Like, why does this keep happening? Hope you like this video. I definitely like it when people make comments to my videos. I make these videos to engage with people. I'm not a spiritual advisor or anything like that. Maybe one day I will be, I don't know. But I make these videos just to share and to connect with others. So I definitely liked hearing people's perspectives. Bye-bye.